and welcome to our kids service. We're so excited for you to see everything that we have for you. But before we do that, we need you to stand up, make some room, because we're going to jump into some worship.
Let's worship together as we sing Waymaker. We worship you, Jesus.
I worship you. I worship you.
He's the Waymaker.
Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. And you are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That is who you are. You are here, turning lives around.
Jesus, we worship you.
I worship you. I worship you. You are here and you're healing every heart. I worship you.
He's the Waymaker.
Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. And you are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. And that is who you are.
Jesus, you are the Waymaker, the miracle worker.
Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Jesus, you are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. I know.
Sing to Jesus.
Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are, and that is who you are. That is who you are, Jesus. That is who you
Man, I cannot find Pastor Tara anywhere. I hear her voice. But she must have the most perfect hiding spot ever. Have you guys ever played hide and seek? Maybe you thought you found the perfect hiding spot. You were thinking no one will ever find me here. But someone always does, right? What if I told you that someone in the Bible tried playing hide and seek with God? His name was Jonah. Today, we're going to learn how that went for him. Before we learn about Jonah, though, let's start with our big answer. What is the big answer? Well, it's the answer to the big question. This is the question that you should get from that important adult in your life. And that is, What did you learn in Kids Church today? Our big answer for today is God's grace always goes further. And our memory verse for this series comes from the book of Psalms. It says, "Even in the darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as the day." Psalm 139:12. So, back to our story. A long time ago, there was a man named Jonah. Jonah was a prophet. That meant he had an important job. When God spoke, Jonah listened, and he went and told people what God said. One day, God gave Jonah a very special mission, okay? God said, "Go to the great city of Nineveh, preach against it. The sins of its people have come to my attention." That's in Jonah 1:2. Oh man, did you hear that? God saw that the people were sinning, and he wanted Jonah to go and talk to them. Jonah knew all about Nineveh. It was big, and it was scary, and it was a place full of people who didn't love God. In fact, they were enemies of Jonah's people. And Jonah thought, wait a second, if I go to Nineveh and they say sorry to God, God's gonna forgive them, and they don't deserve forgiveness. So, instead of obeying God, Jonah ran the other way. He went down to the docks and he found a boat and he headed for a place called Tarshish. That was as far away from Nineveh as possible. Can you think of somewhere really, really far away? Where's the furthest away place you can think of? Maybe like Milwaukee or Canada. Jonah went somewhere far away like that. Why do you think Jonah ran away? He must really have not wanted what God was asking him to do. Have you ever tried to avoid something you didn't want to do? Maybe dishes or other chores, homework, or forgiving a friend who really hurt your feelings? We try to avoid things that make us uncomfortable. So Jonah was running away from something that made him feel really uncomfortable. While Jonah was on the boat running away, God sent a huge storm. Whoa, the waves are getting pretty crazy out here. Wow, that was quite the storm. The boat rocked back and forth, the waves crashed, the sailors were terrified. Let me see your terrified faces. Those are good ones. I would have been terrified too. They started throwing things overboard to lighten the ship. They were saying, "We don't need this. Get rid of it." When that wasn't helping, they asked, "Who is causing this storm?" Jonah stood up and said, "Pick me up. Throw me into the sea. Then it will become calm. I know it's my fault that this terrible storm has come on you." That sounds crazy, right? But the sailors did it, and immediately the storm stopped. But what about Jonah? They threw him overboard. But Jonah didn't drown. God sent a giant fish to swallow him. Jonah was in the belly of that fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Now let's imagine how that smelled. Ugh, lots of fish, and who knows what else was in that belly. Yuck, that's not a spot I'd want to be stuck in. But in that dark, fishy belly, Jonah did something really important. He prayed. Jonah said, "When I was in trouble, I called out to the Lord, and he answered me." And then he said, "I will do what I have promised. I will say, Lord, you are the one who saves." God heard Jonah's prayer, and he made the fish spit Jonah out right onto dry land. And then God spoke to Jonah again. God gave Jonah a second chance. He said, "Go to the city of Nineveh, announce to the people the message I give to you." This time, Jonah obeyed. He walked through the city and he shouted, "In 40 days, Nineveh will be destroyed." But something amazing happened. The people of Nineveh believed Jonah. They were sorry for what they had done, and they asked God to forgive them. Even the king took off his royal robes and he prayed. And guess what? God forgave him too. Now, you'd think Jonah would be happy, right? But instead, he got angry. He said, "See, God, I knew you would forgive them. That's why I didn't want to come in the first place." Jonah sat outside the city and pouted. So God made a plant grow to give Jonah shade. But then he sent a worm to eat the plant, and this got Jonah extra grumpy. Then God said, Jonah, you care about a plant, but you don't care about a city full of people and animals I created. God was teaching Jonah and us that his love is big enough for everyone. You can try to run from God, but you can't outrun his love, no matter how far you go, somewhere really far away like Milwaukee or Canada. God's grace will always find you. Even when you make mistakes, he wants to bring you back. You can try to run from God, but you can't outrun his love. His grace will always go further than we can go. Grace is when God gives us love and forgiveness and kindness, even when we don't deserve it. It's like getting a big hug after you mess up. Or it's like being picked for the team even when you sometimes drop the ball. Grace means God still loves you no matter what. You don't have to earn it, you just have to receive it. Maybe you've had a moment where you were embarrassed or scared and you just wanted to hide. Maybe you told a lie, or maybe you disobeyed your parents, or maybe you said something unkind to a friend. In that moment, it can feel like I really messed up. I don't think God wants to hear from me right now. So we pull away and we stop praying. We stay quiet, we pretend everything's fine on the outside, but inside we're hiding, just like Jonah did. But here's the amazing truth. God doesn't wait for you to get everything right before he comes looking for you. Just like he did with Jonah, he does it with us too. He comes after us with love, not with anger. He comes after you with grace. He's not chasing you down to punish you. He's chasing you down to bring you back home. His love is like a light that reaches into the darkest places, even when we're trying to stay hidden. No matter how far you go, God's grace will always find you. And there is no place too far, no mistake too big, no sin too messy that can stop God's love from reaching you. Jonah thought a boat to Tarshish would take him out of God's plan. But God showed up in a storm. And Jonah thought the bottom of the ocean, inside of a fish's belly, was the end. But God met him even in the belly of that fish. Even after all his running, even after all his pouting, God used Jonah to bring a whole city back to God. God can do the same with you. Even when we make mistakes, he wants to bring you back. When you mess up, don't run away. Run to God. He's not standing there with crossed arms, angry. He's reaching out with open arms, ready to forgive, ready to love, ready to help you start again. Just like Jonah got a second chance, God gives you second chances too, and third chances, and fourth chances, and fifth chances, and sixth chances, seventh chances. "99 chances. Wow. So remember, you might run, you might hide, but God's grace is always one step ahead of you, waiting to lead you back into his arms. We need to run to God, not from him. When you feel bad, guilty, or afraid, it's easy to hide like Jonah tried to do. But God wants us to come to him even when we've messed up. God already knows where you are. He wants to help you. We also need to listen the first time. God gave Jonah a second chance, but how much easier would it have been to obey right away? Sometimes obeying feels hard, but it's always worth it. When you feel God nudging you to be kind or to forgive someone or to do what's right, don't run, walk with him. It's important to remember that God's grace isn't just for you or for me. Jonah wanted God's love for him, but he didn't want it for people he didn't like. But God's love is for everyone, even people who act differently than us. Is there someone you don't get along with? Or maybe is there someone who made a mistake? You can show God's love to them by being kind and forgiving, just like God forgave Nineveh. And just like our big answer says, God's grace always goes further. All right, guys, I've got to get back to finding Pastor Tara. She's been hiding this whole time, and I'm going to go over here to look for her. I'm going to see if I can find Pastor Dallas. Maybe he can help me.
It's time for Memory Verse Breakdown!
Hey kids, today we're going to break down this week's memory verse. Are you ready? Okay, here's this week's memory verse. Think you've got it? Try saying it out loud. All right, let's take some words away. You think you still got it? Try saying it out loud again. All right, let's bring those words back in and see how you did. Did you get it right? Awesome! Well, that's this week's memory verse breakdown. How'd you do?
Memory Verse Breakdown!
Hey there, campers. Let's review how disguise is one of nature's best defenses. When you're endangered by a predator, you can disguise yourself as just another forest animal. You can pretend you are a moose defending itself with giant antlers. Or pose like an eagle that can fly away from danger. Impersonate the squirrel. Embody the squirrel. Embrace squirrelness. Be the squirrel. Of course, you won't actually be able to do any of those things that the animals can do, but whatever. Okay, let's work on that technique. Spread out your fingers and raise them up like moose antlers. Now, spread your wings like an eagle in flight. And let's see your best squirrel impersonation. Nice job. All right, it's time to put those survival skills to work. Stand up, choose which animal you want to be, and hold that pose. Now, stay still because if your animal's spotted, then you have to sit out the rest of the game. Uh-oh. If you were an eagle, then you are out. But by now you should know that this is just a practice round, so don't sit down just yet. Can anybody guess what's headed our way? It's a bear! Wow, what a surprise. Everybody stand up, choose your animal, and be super still. The bear saw the moose. If you were a moose, then have a seat. Everybody else, go ahead and choose an animal because I see a hungry mountain lion headed this way. The squirrels are out. Go ahead and sit down, squirrels. Now, those of you who are still in the game need to pick an animal because here comes a chipmunk with a bad attitude. were spotted. You Eagles need to take a seat, but if you're still standing, then you've won. Congratulations on having incredible survival skills.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Before you leave, have that important adult in your life go to lifechurchgreenbay.com/kids, where you can grab our Kids Connect card. There you can discuss our big answer, memory verse, and even more. We love you so much. Have a great week.